Hey friends, my name's Stevie Taylor. Welcome to the Gig Life Podcast. My guest today is Jonnie Adams, longtime drummer for Doug Williams in the Mix, and also part of the staff of the now defunct Billy Hydes Drumcraft. I met John back in the late 90s and we've been mates ever since. We hadn't seen each other for a while, so we had a great time catching up and had a good talk about his early musical days, the influence Mark Kennedy's had on him, his hiatus from drums, and amongst other things, we also geeked out big time on drums and drummers, so if you're not a drummer, bear with us for all that stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, Jonnie Adams. Cheers. I think we're rolling. John Adams, welcome to the Gig Life Podcast.
Oh mate, thanks for the invite, and kudos for getting all this up and going. It's like it's taking off really quick, you know.
Yeah, man, it's going good. Yeah.
So.
Thanks to all you guys. Get your guys' stories out there, and you're at the Gig Life Podcast HQ tonight.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the zone.
In the zone.
Mate, when you call it and just said, because I said we contacted somehow on Facebook or whatever, and then and you said, how about coming over and we'll have a chat, and I was like, yeah, great. But my first thought was, I get to see you again and say g'day.
Yeah, that's
that was like number one.
It's been a long time, yeah.
Yeah. So
well, I was trying to think today when we first met, and I couldn't remember if it was 98 or 99.
I think I can tell you.
Yeah.
I think I can tell you the exact moment. I remember the first time I saw you play. It was Ramsgate Hotel.
It was Ramsgate.
And I know you were playing the Blue Pearl session set.
Yeah, still
Pacific
got it.
Blue. Really?
Okay, yeah. Man. Yeah.
That old chestnut, yeah. And then you were playing Footloose.
Oh, really?
And I was really in awe because I was it was that breakdown bit.
Yeah.
In the middle, where you just right hand is on the tom, Tom's doing that kind of thing, breakdown sort of thing, and I'm a sucker for listening to people play grooves on the drums with less cymbals.
Yeah, right.
And not that you can do it very often, but it doesn't allow for it quite often. But I was like, man, and this guy's got it all going on. So I was captivated. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I was
man.
really going, man, this is I tried to take a little snapshot of it away with me.
Really? Oh, wow.
I was really impressed by that, man. Yeah. So,
I'm supposed to be interviewing you, right?
Oh, well,
no,
we're chatting.
Cool. What I remember about that is we hung out in the car park.
Oh, at the back.
And we just geeked out on drums and gear for
as you do
for ages, man.
At 4 a.m. or whatever.
And I think we did that a few times.
Yeah.
But and then we kind of lost track of each other for a long time, and then I remember going into Hydes one day. Yeah. The old Billy Hydes Drumcraft, Commonwealth Street.
The Billy Hydes.
Yep.
In Sydney anyway. Yeah.
Yep. And going up to this guy and going, oh, excuse me. Oh, John, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And that would have been fast forward to about 2004, I reckon, 2003, 2004.
Okay, yeah.
Because I had to buy a new hardware bag, and I remember going in there, and that's where I saw you,
Right, yeah.
And we sort of reconnected like that, and then you ended up somehow selling me a bloody Pearl Masters drum set.
Yeah, the red one. Yeah.
Still got that too. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
No, you hanging on to them. That's great. Yeah,
great. Good drums. Yeah.
But that was that was a good era for the shop, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of good memories. We were just talking before about Fab and
a
lot of the other guys.
Well, Fab and I had a good talk about Billy Hydes. Yeah, but it was man, what a great place it was.
It's so sad that it ended up like, Gary Hyde created it with his family and ran it from the underneath his house in Flemington. for almost 50 years, and basically sold it to a bunch of people that were interested in it because it was very profitable. The gross profit of that place was a lot higher than the average business. Like it was up around 20% per year, I think, and 6 was like an average for a growth,
Right.
And so we did all these stock takes because I think the potential buyers were interested to see if the figures were actually correct.
Yep.
So I remember we're scratching our heads going, why are we doing like 4 or 5 stock takes, in the space of like 3 months,
You didn't catch on at the time?
No, yeah. And then they sold it. And I think this is probably late, 28, 9, 10, something like that. And I'd almost finished working there anyway. But and then within almost, 12 months, or was it 2 years? I think it was within 12 months this new mob had run it into the ground.
Yeah.
And it's very sad,
Yeah, it was,
and they were trained experts knowing how to run the place. Probably on an administration level, I'm sure, but the customer passion, the passion for the product wasn't there.
Yep.
There was too many middle management, from what I could tell anyway.
Yep. And
stock control was extremely poor.
Yeah,
but they had the computer system to apparently magically take care of it all.
Yeah, right.
And forever we're out of Vic Firth 5As.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And before we were doing it all manually, I used to do it from home, from where I was living in.
You live in Bondi.
Yeah. And I used to spend all hours of the night. I'd take the Music Link stock sheet, what they had, and what we looked like we could sell, because we were selling a lot of stuff, and used to do it all manually, And so it was a damn shame what happened, because the name went and the heritage went, and then it's all gone, So, and in fact now the whole thing, I think, because they merged with Allen's, and I think that's all finished as well.
Shut up now too, isn't it?
Completely distant from all this now, but I think it's all finished. In fact, I've walked past the old shop a couple of times.
Oh yeah.
When I've been in town recently. Yeah.
What's there now?
Memories. It's a hair salon.
Really?
Yeah. So, and I think the teaching rooms are probably all gone as well.
Right.
It was lucky that they remained, actually, because the shop was upstairs. And originally the first hire, it was Andy Adams Drumcraft.
Yeah.
And Gary Hyde bought it.
Right.
I think, and then it became Billy Hydes Drumcraft.
Yeah.
So, and that was a car park. They turned it into a drum shop, and then that was Billy Hydes as we knew it for many years. Right. And I never used to shop there. I went in there maybe once or twice a year. It was never really. I used to shop at Drum City all the time.
Right.
But so that it was car park, turned into Andy Evans Drumcraft, Billy Hydes, and then it moved downstairs to the corner where most of us spent most of our time there.
Yep.
And turned back into a car park.
Right.
Because the owner of the building wanted to lease out all these business offices upstairs.
Yep.
And they needed parking, so the shop got pushed downstairs, but the teaching room stayed upstairs. That was part of the deal.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that was that's how it ran for a while. And mate, I had a lot of funk about it. It was great fun.
Sure did.
Yeah, I was only part time. I was never really that.
Yeah. Yep. And I just remember going in there, and because I'd only be able to get in there on a Saturday or a Sunday, obviously, because working during the week, and I'd play Friday night, late finish, and then shit, I need some stuff, and there was nothing sort of out this way. Yeah. So I'd sort of beeline into town, absolutely knackered.
Yeah.
And you walk in there, but everybody's the same. Everybody's feeling the same. Everybody's tired, got sore arms, and the bloody drummers,
Yeah, well, the guys working there would have been like
the same.
Man.
We're all just there with our eyes hanging out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You know, got home from a gig at 5, got up at 7, go to work, or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but so that was the end of an era, wasn't it? I mean,
sure was, yeah.
Yeah, but because Damo's got his shop at Enmore. In fact, I was there the other week.
Yep.
And that's great that there's still something, and a couple other people got some things going on.
Yep.
I think, but like in town, not much going on. So
it's all online.
Yeah, well, this is it. So this is the thing with the whole
Allen's thing.
Yeah, but when it started to go downhill, see, the stock control. One of the things I thought of was, the place was never easy to park at.
Yep.
People constantly whinging about that. But it's a funky place, and people like to go there. But when the stock control became an issue, and then when general items weren't readily available there a lot, like the drumsticks I was talking about and basic things like that, then you've noticed the drop in customer turnaround, like, you know, because they're like, why? I know they probably don't have the stock. Why am I going to go in and get a parking ticket and not spend half an hour looking for a car parking spot when I can just buy it online? And that's when the internet started to really kick in. Internet sales. That's, you know, what, 2000, what, 6, 7, 8, 9, that sort of thing. So a few things working together there probably. Had a bit of an impact, but you know.
Let's roll right back now, man. To when you first started playing. So you were born. What's that? Oh, I saw you. You're looking at my cat. What's the cat doing? Oh, you trying to flashback?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm just trying to think. I've got to say, the whole thing. I started high school, right? The whole thing is a complete accident, and I don't consider myself a musician. I don't have the dream, you know, the whole dream of it all, and don't live the life. And it's taken me a little while to figure that out, but that's actually where my heart really is. It's and I never, the whole thing is an accident. And how it all started and getting a good kick in was all these things just occurred. I was never chasing it or anything like that. So, but so I mean, initially I was into all mechanical things as a youngster, and then tech drawing and architecture and that sort of stuff. You know, so, and then one day I was at high school and they had the school assembly every morning for about 10 minutes, and they said the announcement, anyone interested in doing drum lessons, go and see the music teacher whenever it was. And I thought, that'd be interesting. But like, I'm Captain Slowpole, so I'm never really proactive on these things, you know. And anyway, so it was lunch that day. The music teacher walked past us in the playground. So I didn't go and seek him out, but he just happened to be in the playground. And I went, so I just thought I'd just ask. I said, drum lessons. What's? I don't know why I'm interested, but you know. He said, well, the drum teacher's in tomorrow. Come. Arrive at the music department, whatever time it was, and have a chat and see. So I did that, and he said my first drum teacher was absolute wonderful bloke, great player, and superhuman, Mick Woods. And so I met him, and he said, look, just turn up next week and we'll go from there. So I just turned up, and then we got on to it was just practice pad for about 6 months. So basically you just said, go out and get the syncopation book and a pair of Vic Firth 5As and a Billy Hydes rebound pad. 3 things, you know. So I went and did that and went back with the book, and then we went through lesson 1. I practiced that for that week, and we came back and next week I did lesson 2, and then the next week, and it went on and on. And I wasn't even interested in music. Not until probably 6 months after I started doing all that. And after 6 months, I got about halfway through, or a fair chunk of the syncopation book, and I wasn't even interested in playing beats or anything, you know. Like most people at that age, I was like 13, I was in year 9 or something, and most people are like want to start a band and all that. It was like really just turn up here, do this, and turn up next week and have that ready, and it was just like this sort of robotic sort of approach, and and the music came, interest in that came further down the track. But actually one day I gathered up the strength to tell, you know, you got to try and pick a good day to tell your folks, you know, like when you've done something good or you're not in trouble, you know. So and I came home from school one day, I thought, I'm just going to tell Mum, because Dad wasn't home, it's just Mum, you know. I'll tell one of them, I'll just tell Mum first, you know, see how we go. And so I was walking home and sucking myself up, went through the front door, I said, she's like, how's your day? I said, yeah, not bad. I said, I'm taking this drum lesson business seriously, because, you know, she knew I'd inquired about it because I had the sticks and everything, but like didn't really know that I was going on with it. So. And so it started to become, when I started to dig into it, then I thought I'd better tell her that I'm really getting serious about it. So, and to my astonishment, I thought I was going to get an earful, but to my astonishment, my mum ran into the stairwell under the stairs with the storage, you know, with all the bits and pieces, and I heard all this rummaging around in there, and I thought, what the hell's going on? And she came out with kind of dusting off all these old records, all this vinyl, and thought, oh, this is not looking too bad. So, and she pulled out, it didn't even say anything, and walked past me to the record player. And you well odd record players in those days.
Yep.
And it was just 1993, I think, yeah. And cassette tape players.
Yep.
And and so this mum was a big fan of music and had a lot of albums from the 70s that she'd bought, and she just kept them there, never really listened to them. And so this record went on. It was Daley Wilson Big Band, and most of their albums were live, actually.
Right.
And she put on a track called, I think it was Queen Street, oh my goodness. Anyway, this is ripping, this is smoking the stuff. I don't know if you've heard of the Daley Wilson Big Band, but
no.
Warren Daley. So he's the big first influence, and
Okay.
how do I get to the point quickly? There's two Australian drummers in the Zildjian Hall of Fame. One of them's Billy Hyde, the other one's Warren Daley.
Right.
So this guy's serious. And he, another thing, Warren went to the United States to further his studies and do some playing over there in the 1960s. Ended up playing with a big band, Cy Zetner, whose agent was in New York and was the same agent for the Count Basie Big Band and the Buddy Rich Big Band. So they're all in the same agency.
Right.
And I've actually become friendly with Warren in recent years, actually. It's actually like a big deal for me, actually, because
cool.
I idolise the guy.
Totally.
And
Yep.
and I'd heard a few stories, and I heard this story about him being invited to fill in for Buddy Rich in his band. You know, a lot of people played with the Buddy Rich band after Buddy had died, but
Right.
Warren Daley got an invite in the 60s. This is when
It's heyday, yeah.
Yeah, the heyday.
Yeah.
You know, and I said, "This is true," and he said, "Yeah, mate." He said, "It's true." He said, he said, "I didn't play with the band, but I got invited, and I got a letter," and he said, "I've still got the letter at home."
Fucking cool.
So he's got written proof to go and play. Awesome. And another thing with the Daley Wilson Big Band was they started probably in the Warren came back to Australia in the late 60s, probably early 70s, and started the band with Ed Wilson and a real force, you know. So they took young players in, composition, reading, conducting the band, all that sort of stuff. So and fostered a lot of young great players. And but just listening to this band, mate, it just sends shivers up your spine, like you know.
One of those moments. Eh?
Oh, mate, yeah, and all the horns and it's just incredible, like tight as a fish's bum, you know, like everything's just incredible. And Warren's a real powerhouse. He's an absolute demon on the drums. And another thing with the big band was only two big bands from the West made it into the Soviet Union during the Cold War. One was Count Basie Big Band. I think it was Count Basie, and the other one was the Daley Wilson Big Band.
Right.
So and in fact, I think Marsha Hines was the singer on that tour.
Is that right?
Yeah, and it's all recorded. I've seen bits of it. Yeah, a lot of it's been recorded, and the Soviets they were going crazy. They were paying, I think, $100. This is in the 70s. $100 a ticket a night, and they were filling out 10,000 seat arenas. So it was a big deal. So there's a big influence first off, and then obviously my first drum teacher, amazing, absolute natural, great bloke, and I think he lives in Tasmania now, and just an absolute super sweet person. And one day I turned up to lesson and he said, "Let's go out the car. I've got a new car. We'll go check it out." So I said, "Okay." So we went out there and checking things out, and took for a little test drive around the car park at the school, and you know, and this is the thing. This music came on over he said, "Check out the stereo," you know, and this music came out. And I said, "What's that?" You know, he said, "It's Sting," and it was. I can't remember the track exactly, but it was, you know, this is mid-90s, but
this is Tim Sumner's Tale.
That sort of thing, yeah. So, and that got me into Manu Katché and Vinny.
Okay.
Yeah, and Omar Hakim.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and then, so also with those three, you've got well, when I went into music stores, because I was getting into it, you go into, I remember it was Guitar World in Penrith, going to Guitar World, and there was these posters of players on the wall advertising stuff and all that, and there was two players that were always sort of in your face with good reason, like the two of the most loved players. One was Omar Hakim. There was the Omar Hakim and Pearl poster.
The Pearl one,
And Jeff Picaro and Pearl poster. And that was
with the rack.
Yeah, all that. You know, with the look going on. You know, blue steel. You know, And so so we got exposed to those guys, those four guys. You know, through just picking. And actually, a fifth guy too early on was First Modern Drummer had Peter Erskine on the cover.
Oh yeah.
And he was just doing. This is a Steely Dan reunion.
Right, okay.
This is in '93, so this is like they'd had a big break for a long time, and they went out and did this live in America.
Right.
Tour, I think, and Peter Erskine and Dennis Chambers did that, I think. But so Peter Erskine was on the cover, so I got that. So that was a big. So there was a bunch of guys that got into and like I said, I wasn't interested in the music so much. These players, I thought, well, who are they playing with? And so checking out who these guys played with.
Right.
Took me to that music. So I went to Sting. The drummers took me to the music. So to Sting, Madonna, or Weather Report, or Toto, or you know, and all these other different bands. Frank Zappa and you know,
P-Funk with Chambers.
Yeah, definitely. So Steely Dan, obviously, as I just said. So, so that's and then Mum had a great record collection, really good stuff, you know. I just used to try and play along with that stuff badly, you know. And Harvey Mason, you know.
Yeah.
Because Mum had this album called Breezin' by George Benson, had Harvey Mason on it. So.
Right. We had this, one of the first CDs that we ever bought, this is back in New Zealand.
Yeah.
We went into there's only one music shop in our town. We went in there and the CDs were just starting to take off, and we just bought the CD player, and Dad said, let's go to the shop and we'll get a couple of CDs.
Yeah.
One of them was Whisper and Promises by Earl Klug.
Right.
Guitar player.
Yeah, he's done it with George Benson. Yeah,
Harvey Mason was playing.
Yeah. I've
drums
heard
right through it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And then the other CD was But Seriously Live, Phil Collins.
Yes.
Yeah, with
okay.
Chester Thompson.
Right, yeah. I was
Yeah.
watching him last week.
Oh, right.
Live, yeah.
Right, okay, yep.
Take Me Home.
Yeah, oh, man.
Live in Berlin. Yeah, it does the same thing for like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just like, mate, it's so difficult to do that thing over and over without wanting to change it or...
And then he sings it, and he's changing the melody with his singing, and it gets a bit of call and response happening, still going...
Yeah.
It's awesome, man.
So, but, so that was early, and then my drum teacher, he said, I'm going to quit teaching, because he's a biological chemist, see?
Right.
This is a side thing for him. And this was about 18 months after I started, I had such a great grounding with Mick Woods that we'd gone through syncopation book, not trying to get into it with drum beats early. It was all a few rudiments, not many rudiments, just the syncopation book with a couple of basic rudiments. Mm-hmm. And then the Frank Corniola book, rhythm section drumming. Mm-hmm. And that's where the coordination stuff started getting involved. And so I went through a fair chunk of that. And then Mick stopped teaching, and then by that stage, if you've had a good teacher and you've gone through those bits of those books, that's enough to be able to, you know, if you want to, you can carry on a bit. Yeah. Having said that, one of the biggest regrets I've had is if I'd had my time again, I would have had a teacher all the time, right, in some capacity, constantly.
Okay.
And if not a teacher, a coach.
Why is that?
You need. I'm convinced that you've got to have someone to bounce ideas off, even if it's just for maybe even confidence or playing attitude or that sort of thing. And the amount of time you can save by getting to the point quicker by having a teacher, a good teacher.
Okay, got you.
I reckon may have actually found out some interesting things I wouldn't have if I'd had a teacher guiding all the way. You find the hard way sometimes when you're doing it yourself.
Yep.
So I maybe picked up a few things doing it the hard way, but I reckon I wasted a lot of time not getting to the point quick enough because I didn't have a teacher those other years
Right.
that I was trying to develop,
Right.
So if I had my time again, I would have had a teacher the whole time.
Right.
And
okay.
even when that would have died off with some sort of coach or...
That's fascinating.
And in fact, in the end, I don't know if you know Millen Trower, but he's the drum teacher upstairs at Heights. And he's a monster, this guy. He's like a grandfather of Sydney drumming.
Yeah, he's the guy that used to come down on the Saturday, Sunday morning.
Yeah,
look at all
he's
you
just
bloody,
around.
Look at all you bloody drummers.
Yeah, no, well, he's done
Did you
more
sleep
gigs.
last night?
Mate, he's done more gigs probably than anyone in this town. I mean that. He was doing, 60s, 70s, 80s. He was doing, probably 10 shows a week.
Yep.
Plus jingles and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Easy. And then recordings and that. And, talking about Fab before, Fab used to call Milan, a black belt and coffee and cigarettes, because he was always drinking coffee and smoking.
Yeah, right.
Always. It's like, and the great thing with Milan, see, I had Milan as like a coach.
Okay.
Up until I stopped playing a few years back, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
and then the final few years of like having a serious, just like playing regularly, he was always there because I was at the shop and he was there.
Yep.
So, and after work I'd go up and, and in coaching, I mean, we might just chat for 2 hours. Or I might go in the room and he'd never actually give a lesson. He would just talk to you about stuff and life stuff too. And like one of the constant questions I can just like drummed into me, he's like, with the drumming bit, this is the life bit, and the progress of the whole thing's got to try and move together. And he'd be like poking me going, what's your credit card deck like? Like you go into the drum room and be like, how's your credit card debt? And I'm like, oh, not too good. He's like, fucking I can still remember him like gesturing downwards, get your credit card down, dickhead, and he's like, all right, off you go. And so he'd be trying to guide you through life rather than just drumming, and that was his whole thing. And he gave a lot of his equipment to students.
Yeah.
And never got it, never wanted it back.
Yep.
Like whole cymbal sets. He'd buy drum sets for students that were into it, and did not expect anything. He's actually very well off, believe it or not. Very well off. So, and he, not that anyone would know that actually, but he's very quiet about that. Drives a Toyota Corolla, not flashy, but he's seriously got a lot of resources, and he would just like he'd give someone a Ludwig Black Beauty to borrow, but in reality he'd just give it to him, and to students that were like interested, so he's always really giving like that. So and a hell of a lot of drummers in this town have had great coaching from him or teaching, so
that's great.
So but I didn't meet him till way later until I was working at the shop really. So what happened was as I said, never really interested in doing drumming or music career or anything. And never did it as an elective in high school until it became apparent that I needed to because of a subject clash thing.
Right.
So I wanted to do engineering science for the HSC.
Yep.
And for year 9 and 10, my friends were like, do music, and I'm like, no, I'm not interested. I don't want to associate. It's so sacred to me. It became so sacred that I didn't want to associate regularity with like a regime and a schedule and a career with it, a potential career.
Right.
I didn't want to have that connection, and I always didn't choose it as an elective. And then when year 11 and 12 came around, I wanted to do engineering science, but only 4 people, which would have been the lead into drafting and just building design and that sort of thing, which is what I've gotten into in the last 10 years.
Yep.
But so only 4 people wanted to do that. And the deputy principal called us in one day, the 4 of us, and said, listen, I can't really arrange an entire teaching regime for 4 people. If you want to do engineering science, you've got to go to another school, or here's a list of subjects you can choose that fit in with everything. And music was on it. Right. So I thought, it'll take pressure off my other subjects because I'm already doing a bit of music,
Yep.
But what had the opposite effect is it absolutely took over after that. Everything went by the wayside, and it was just drums and music, Sort of became this. I suppose you could say I became a bit of a fanatic about it, and then check this out though. My English teacher, and not looking for gigs really, playing stage band, concert band.
Yep.
You know, and a big band that was like Monday nights sort of thing.
Yep.
And no cash, no professional. You know, with great players. You know, but not like on a professional basis. You know, just we're playing because we're playing.
Yep.
And it'd be like, oh, there's a gig at McDonald's this Saturday for McHappy Day or whatever. We're going to play for an hour. You know, so they were the kind of gigs. You know.
Yep.
And show school musicals and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And jamming with friends. So that happened. And then in my year 12, my English teacher, her husband was the keyboard player with Doug Williams and the Black Mass. So I got that gig through my English teacher in high school.
Shit.
Yeah. So Mr. Daly, husband Mr. Daly, Mrs. Daly was my English teacher. And, their son Ben was made guitarist, and we hung out a bit. And Mr. Daly, because he was teaching at the school as well, so it was always Mr. Daly, right?
Right.
His name's Gary Daly, but I was a student, he was a teacher, so I was Mr. Daly. So I was actually getting a couple of piano lessons at that stage too, I think, from him. But he put my name forward to play with the group at to play with Doug Williams and the Black Mass in the mid. This would have been 1996. I was just finishing year 12, and Mark Kennedy was the drummer, and there was an arrangement that Mark Kennedy. Do you know Mark? Or
I don't know him personally. I know who he is.
One of Australia's greatest, and most recorded, arguably drummers. You know.
Okay.
We'll get back to him a bit more later.
Yep.
Two good stories from him I'd like to explain,
cool.
actually, which are quite useful for music in general,
okay.
And playing. But so Mark Kennedy was playing full time in that group and a whole bunch of other things. So, and if the arrangement was if he had a gig with Renee Gayer, no questions asked, he'd go and do that gig.
Yep.
And that was the deal they had, and therefore the drum chair came up, and Mr. Daly put my name forward, and they gave me a go at it, and I got another go at it. But so what happened was, my first paid proper professional gig, club gig in town, was with Doug on a Friday night. Was just turned 18, probably 18 and a bit, 18 and a half, something like that, and it was Friday night at a place got by the name of Burgundy's, which was the City of Sydney RSL. It was the top floor of that.
Oh, yep.
Upstairs there.
Yep.
Fuck, hell of a lug.
Yeah.
And you go into the front too with all the, mate.
Yep.
What an initiation. So in there, and that was a Friday night, and the very next night was at the basement with Doug as well. So my second professional club gig was there, so like
baptism of fire, man.
Well, like I'm straight in. I was very lucky, mate. All I can say I was lucky, you know, and that was the starting point of it all.
I wouldn't say you're lucky. You knew how to play, so.
Oh, but
you got yourself in the position.
Well, mate, I used to see these guys were like icons in their own right, you know.
Yeah.
And like Andy Thompson is a sax player. I remember talking to him one night about it, and because he'd been playing with Dire Straits in the '80s,
right,
doing like Money for Nothing and. You know,
shit.
Like, he did at least 3 or 4 months world tour with, you know.
Right.
Just about the time Brothers in Arms came out, you know. In fact, that was one thing he said. He said, I had the option to come back to Australia. He'd been doing Elton John, I think, and Dire Straits, and he was doing the Dire Straits tour, and he had that tour finished. And he had the choice to stay with Dire Straits or come back to Australia and play with Moving Pictures. And he chose Moving Pictures.
Right.
And the next album that came out with Dire Straits was Brothers in Arms, which was like one of the biggest albums that ever, you know. And but Moving Pictures were doing pretty good. But really, I mean, there's a bit of a difference.
Slightly.
But I mean, in that tour, I think, actually, speaking to these two artists, I think Dire Straits holds the record for the number of shows at the old entertainment centre, which is no longer there actually. It's all apartments now, I think. In one
consecutive nights?
tour, not consecutive shows. No, I think Elton John holds that record. No, it's it's shows in one tour. They did something like 26.
Right.
But it was like 10 And then they'd go away somewhere and they'd come back and do 5, I think, and then they'd go away to another city and come back and do a few more.
Didn't Pink end up breaking that record though?
Oh, I don't know, but 25 or 6 or 20 plus shows is a lot.
Shit.
I don't know how many she did, but
Yeah.
I know, and I think Elton John has the record for consecutive.
Consecutive, okay.
Yeah, and that's close to 20 as well, I think. So,
Far out.
but they were the gigs
Yeah.
these guys were doing, you know, and Sir Neil de Silva, I mean, In Excess, John
Yep.
Denver, Elvis's band, you know, all this other stuff. So, and all the other guys, and Mark and Steve Emmons and that.
Yep.
And Gary, Mr. Daly and Doug and that, and the Francoise and Anastasia were the singers, you know. So these were heavyweights. And I remember saying to Andy one night, I said, what in the hell business do you have, you know, an 18-year-old novice hanging out with you guys? And I was stunned. I couldn't figure it out, you know. And of course, you would have to be able to cut it, you know. That's one thing, right? But he said, listen, this is the thing. He goes, and Andy always had a VB in one hand and a cigarette in the other, and black belt and VB and cigarettes. Yeah. And his sax was usually always hung off his neck almost all the time. I don't think it ever came off. It was like this, you know, this real look going on.
Yeah.
And he goes, in this real raspy voice, he says, mate, he goes, no one owns the Grail, mate. We only hold on to it. So, and I was like, oh, okay. So he's passing it through.
Bit of wisdom there.
Yeah. So, but that was great fun. I mean, the basement in those days, I mean, Doug was doing it every Saturday.
Yeah.
For a few years there. And unless they wanted to go away and do something like Byron or Perth, the casino or whatever. And what a vibe. I mean, that's probably my most favourite memory of clubs.
Yep.
It was that. From 96 to 1999.
Yep.
The basement had I don't know what earlier, because it'd been around for a long time before that, but the funk that was in the place at that time.
Yep.
And the seriousness of it all. I mean, you'd go in there one night, you'd go in there on a Saturday, and like, you know, Dennis Chambers had been there 5 previous nights, you know, and you kind of could feel it on the stage, you know.
Yeah.
And you felt, I better bloody well play good. You know, like you didn't walk in there going, oh, this is another gig. You went in there going, I better have my shit together.
Yeah.
You know? Like you almost feared it.
Yeah.
Well, I did anyway.
Yeah.
So such was the sovereignty and the heritage of the place, you know.
I was talking to Craig Cahoon last week,
Well,
and
yeah.
and he said the Brothers of Oz were in there every second week.
Well, in
And
99.
Doug, 99.
Yeah.
And then Doug was every
That's right.
other.
Well, it was yeah, that's right. It was.
Yeah.
Well, Doug was doing Fridays with Transformation, another group with another great drummer, and it was Gordon Rentmeister was,
Yep.
and another guy I really love in this town is Jess Champa.
I'm
Yeah.
chatting with him Thursday.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Mate,
man.
he's one of my most favourite people in town, yeah.
Oh, cool.
And great player.
Yep.
And he never cocks anything up. He's always perfect, you know. It's just sight reading. I've seen him sight read the most amazingly difficult stuff, and it's just like
Yep.
no trouble at all, you know. He
Yep.
plays like 5 instruments, you know.
Yeah.
He's a great person. He's really social.
Yep.
And yeah, anyway. So there was that group was on, I think, and then Doug was they were doing like a double header, and then but then that was like 94-5, I think, and then Doug ended up doing Saturdays there, I think. There was a lot of dual shows, 2 shows a night, and I think Doug actually was one of the first people to do a show by himself.
Right.
Like one show per night sort of thing.
Right.
With one artist. So, and that was the Saturdays, and that kind of took off, and then it started to die down a bit. Bruce Vale started his share in the basement in 1999, I think, and it became a little more corporate after that.
Okay.
The carpet changed, everything became a lot cleaner.
Okay.
There was a record executive who actually probably helped save the joint, because Bruce had a large share in that place, and Chris Richards had obviously the other share, and
Yep.
there was talk at that time of a group, I think if my memory serves me correctly, that a group of Asian businessmen were going to turn it into a gaming lounge, going to buy it and turn it into like a prestige gaming lounge. So, and from what I recall, this record exec bloke came in and took over the void that Bruce had left from, you know, pulling out of the arrangement, and carried it on, and it became a little more corporate after that. So,
Okay.
but so the fields changed slightly, you know, like they put a pool table in there, and you know, and some of the intimate booths that were in the social areas out the back kind of got taken out, and it kind of and I'm not saying it was bad, it was great, but but it did change a little bit. And the other thing was you had to have your sound check done before mealtime, before the restaurant opened, and all that kind of stuff. And actually before this period, in like mid 90s, like I remember one of the guys went up and put like 12 names on the door, and no one batted an eyelid. You know, you could have whatever food and drinks you wanted and all that kind of stuff. It was in fact, I'm probably sure it wasn't doing any good for the running of the business, you know, but but there was this vibe of mate, it was just great, you know. And obviously I obviously you could see it had to be tightened up a bit to survive, you know. Less people were turning up to gigs, and all that sort of business, and the jazz gigs started to dwindle away from, because Vince James was doing like 5 nights a week there, and then you know, and with packed houses 5 nights a week in the 90s, and then that those shows started to diminish a bit, and always you get great music down there, like top shelf music, but there was a lot of jazz there, you know, and that sort of, they had to keep the place open, you know, and I think they just had to get whatever music in there that was of great quality, and it was whatever was in there, but all different styles, so rather than just, because it was predominantly a jazz venue.
Were they back then still getting the international acts through, or did that come later? Did that come later,
mate? Let me tell you. Well, like I said, you get like Mike Stern and Bob Bergen all that down there. You know, 4 or 5 nights. Dave Weckl and
I went and saw Weckl. Weckl band there. And all these kind of guys, you know.
But one gig that stands out for me, which really summed up the vibe of the place, was, I went in on a Sunday. I'd been playing the night before, and I couldn't have been bothered taking my drums home. And I came and picked them up the next day, and Sunday afternoon. And this would have been about 1996 or 7. And I went. It was probably 3 or 4 in the afternoon. You know, that wonderful sound. You walk up to that venue, and there's a bit of music coming out from downstairs. You know, like, oh, it's great. Even walking up to the place was awesome. And you go down, and by the acoustics, you could tell there weren't many people in there, you know, and it was this jazz group was playing in there, and I stood there and watched for a while, and I went, man, this is a really interesting sound, and this sound is, I wasn't had much of an ear for what was going on, you know, because still very young. Still don't have much of an ear for what's going on, but anyway, but you could kind of tell that these guys were really a bit different, and it was 3 horns and a drummer. It was sousaphone, trombone, trumpet, and drums. I think the trombone players, Washburn or someone, the heavyweight players, you know, New York guys. It turned out, well, this is the thing. So I stood there and looked, and I thought, I've got to figure out who these guys are. And so I went over to the nearest table, and I picked up one of those little pamphlets, and I looked at the date and said Bobby Previtt Group, and said Bobby Previtt was a drummer, you know, and I was just nailed to the back of the wall. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and it was really, really explosive sound, a lot of energy, you know. And so they were New York guys, you know, so that sound was obviously, you know, quite unique. Actually, this will lead into Mark, because a couple of days later, I was hanging out with Mark Kennedy down at the basement there. We were going to watch a show with a few other people, and I was raving about this gig that I'd seen there on the Sunday a few days before. And I said, oh, mate, you should have seen this drummer. He was just absolutely going for it, and it was just all action and, you know, just, you know, really exciting, all that kind of stuff. And Mark, with the most mature wisdom you can think of, is beer in one hand, cig in the other, kind of just ashed his cigarette out and whatever, you know, kind of put his beer down, and he looks over and he went, and really slowly he went, yeah. He said, those New York guys really play up on top of the beat, don't they? And I went, I was floored, and I thought to myself, I've completely missed the point. I'm thinking action with this drumming.
Yeah.
Mark's thinking pulse.
Yeah.
So that was a lesson.
Yeah.
So there's an example where you can get taught something serious. Like that's a big one, you know.
Yeah.
For me, I thought anyway. Yeah. Having a beer with a great player. You know? So the other thing I remember him saying was that he said, whatever you play, make sure it's not fucking lumpy.
Lumpy.
He said, I can't handle lumpy, or something like that, you know. So you can play the notes, but if it's lumpy, what is it? The fuck is it? You know, so.
Did you work out lumpy?
Well, I'm still trying. You know, Mark is like, I love to talk about Mark a bit, man.
Awesome.
Like, I got really exposed to that guy a lot because I had to fill in for him. So, and he was so generous with his time. I went to his house, I'd hang out with him in studios, rehearsal rooms, that sort of thing. And I never actually had a lesson from him, but I got more than that because I was hanging out with him on the job. Mm-hmm. So you're hanging out with one of the best players around on watching them work, you know, and then having to sit in their chair and try and emulate.
Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah.
And a real baptism of fire because it sure as hell sounded different when, like, for instance, a rehearsal, he'd play and then I'd get up and try a few tunes or whatever, and you get up and you felt so inadequate, and like the sound must have been so different.
It's the way they hit.
And not only that, if it sounded to me so different, goodness knows how different it felt to the other guys. You know,
Gotcha, yeah.
You know what I mean? So and we all felt a bit different, but with playing obviously, but so trying to race into that and fill the void. That's a massive void, mate.
Yeah.
And Mark's playing is like talking about, you know, not wanting to be lumpy. He's like warm butter. Everything he does is like warm butter, and it's so smooth.
Yep.
But there's a bite to it as well. There's a real bite and an attitude to it, while being subtle and sensitive at the same time. So, and it really got. As I said, I was around him a lot. Never actually sat down and had a lesson, you know. So there was none of this rudiments or anything going on. I was just watching him and on him at work, you know. And I used to go to the basement. Pardon me, because Doug was doing so many gigs there. Chris Richards allowed Mark to have one of his drum sets parked in the band room underneath the bench there.
Yep.
Which is spaces at a premium. So that was pretty, you know, pretty good. And so I'd just. Like actually what would sometimes happen, Mr. Daly would drive down I'd jump in the car, we'd go down and we'd get there before Mark got there, so I'd just set the drums up and so set the drums up for Mark, and then if I had a night off or whatever, I'd go be down there. I'd be there. No, if I had a night off, I was there on Saturday night, you know.
Yep.
And so I'd set the drums up and then I was like the ball boy. Like I'd sit by the side of the stage about 2 meters away from him, watch him all night. Like, I mean, all night. I'd sit on the carpet on the floor and you'd be kind of under the drums a bit and you get that different sonic sound and you get the sweat coming off and the air moving. You get all the feel from that.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, it was just amazing. And like Mark would be like, hey, Johnny, go get me a beer. So I'd get him a VB. I'd be like, Johnny, go get me a smoke. So I'd get him a smoke. And it's because you could smoke in clubs in those days, you know. I don't know how we did it.
Yep.
Mate, you wash your hair the next morning. Oh.
I used to play with a smoke.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
The amount of drum heads I burnt through with the top of my smoke.
Really?
Yeah, but
oh,
I
mate.
used to make them good back then. They wouldn't split, you know. You just get the hole go.
That's it.
But then you get the smoke in your eye and you...
Oh, no. Oh, there, yeah, and you can't go anywhere. You can't get away from it. Yeah, yeah.
You're trying to ash it.
Yeah.
And then you go back up and all your ashes in the rooms.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
You know?
that could have helped the sound, you know.
Yeah,
dampening,
muffling,
muffling,
yeah.
But yeah, so and then when the gig finished, and then I'd just pack the drums up, you know. So, but let me tell you, when you pack someone's drums up and set them up, you get to see these little things, like tunings.
Right.
And Mark's played on probably 400 or 500 albums and done all this other stuff, you know. So, and he was a studio guy, flat out.
Okay.
As well as a live player. big in the studio, and so his drums was set up for studio playing quite often, and his bass drum was like, it sounded so good out the front. Without a mic in it, it sounded like concrete, but
Right.
it was massive pillow right up against the head, right up to the top, and a big wooden beater, bang, on one of them Fallon patches, and you'd tap the bass drum with no mic in it, it would be like seriously like a click on concrete, hit timber on concrete. But once the mic went in there, it just rounded it out just the right amount to give it that thud, you know, and the definition was it, and had his snare quite muffled as well, and Mark would have his top head tune tighter than the bottom one.
Right.
From memory. Yeah, so that was interesting. But but the biggest thing I picked up from him, because I was talking about Mark, it's just like warm butter, and the hi-hats are just so greasy. It's just like grease, elastic grease. Nothing separates, it's just all connected, and you just stretch and you pull it, and it's like it's flexible, but it doesn't, nothing's separated, it's all together, and it's greasy. And what he did with a top hi-hat clutch, you put the cymbal on, and then he put a big soft felt on the first, before the little felt and the little nut would go on, and it wouldn't be too tight, and that would allow the top hi-hat to glide.
Gotcha.
So when you opened it, it didn't go. It was like. Yeah, and not only that, his amount of light and shade between dynamic ranges, there was not 3 or 4 different levels, it was infinite. And occasionally, you know, I mean, I don't think I've heard anybody play single-handed 16ths at about, you know, 80 beats a minute, 90 beats a minute, like anyone. I don't think I've ever heard anyone do that as good as him.
Right.
I mean anyone. So much elasticity in the groove, and and this was like the end of the jazz fusion, if we could call it, you know, let's call it probably the end of the real techo rock jazz fusion era, you know. And so a lot of players, particularly my age, were like really into, you know, still am obviously, but you know, there was that whole jazz rock fusion scene, you know. And I remember talking to a couple of mates, you know, about Mark Kennedy, you know, oh mate, you got to check Mark out, you know, he's, you know. And they'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen him once or twice, but I wasn't too impressed. And, you know, I was just like mortified. I was like, what are you not getting? You know? What are you doing? So, and the big test is...
Oh, sorry. I just pushed the cat off the chair. She'll be right.
Yeah.
She'll be right.
He's right. Looking happy. Yeah, so, and the big test is, okay, well, we might be doing something simple, but you tried doing it.
Yeah.
And that's where you know.
Try and make it sound like that.
And feel like that. Oh, forget it, mate. And that's where 40 years of playing and all that recording and the practice and all that kind of stuff was obviously comes through in a player like him, you know. So, but that was, a very sensitive band. Like even to this day, actually, we did a gig on Saturday. I mean, I've done, as I said, I stopped playing a few years back. Drums went in the storage.
Should we talk about that?
Yeah, drums went in the storage.
Hang on, do you want another drink of water?
Yeah, no, I'm alright, thanks.
Hang on, I'll get another drink. You stopped playing.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Because I back it up a little. You were playing a lot. Because I remember when I used to see you in the store, like you.
Eyes hanging out of my head with a blue face.
But you were playing so much.
There was a bit going on.
And it's funny too, because I would be in different parts of town, and I'd be sitting at the back of the cross somewhere, and then I'd see you walk past with a bass drum.
Oh yeah.
And then I'd be somewhere else, be in Surrey Hills doing something, and then I'd see your car pull up for something. It was just weird. It was
really?
weird.
Oh,
You were everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I went away from the scene a bit too. I stopped playing for a while.
Before I had our little path.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So what was it for you? What was the?
Well, it's quite personal, I suppose.
Okay.
Well, like I said, actually, first of all, actually, I've got to say before we finish up, Mitch Farmer was a big influence as well.
He lives around the corner.
He does, yes.
Just around the
I've been
corner.
to his place. I interviewed him once.
Oh, did you?
For a drum magazine.
Yeah, I've been trying to get hold of him.
Yeah.
I've sent him a couple of messages. He hasn't replied.
Oh, I actually meant to say good day to him anyway.
Okay.
But so just before we go, I think obviously the Sydney guys, other guys like Kerry Buchanan's probably the biggest influence. I didn't get to know him that well, but actually Doug and Marsha ended up doing quite a few gigs back to back on the same. So I got to see him a bit there.
Okay.
So we brushed paths a little bit there, but
So Kerry was playing with Marsha.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
And I don't know why, but there was this whole spate of gigs, even in the other cities where Doug and Marsha were just on the same bill, you know, and yeah, so for a little while there. But anyway, and then Mitch Farmer was a big help too through Mr. Daly as well, and beautiful player, Mitch, and big help. And I'd say Mark Kennedy was probably the biggest influence of the people I was around, like face to face with. But I spent quite a bit of time with Mitch Farmer as well. You know, Mitch is a guy in awe of Mark, you know.
Okay.
You know, so Mark's probably born in 1950, 68 now, so.
Right.
Mitch is the younger generation, obviously, and I'm younger again, so so a bit younger again. So, so there's, a beautiful player, you know. And actually, I remember first hearing Mitch Farmer on with Tommy Manuel.
Okay.
Yeah. So so he's done a whole lot of stuff too, and beautiful player. So, and he was very nice to me.
Yep.
I used to do similar things, help him set up and pack up and all that kind of thing. Actually, did a couple of lessons. But the person I was around the most was by far Mark Kennedy, and absolutely blessed and lucky.
Yep.
And all this came from my Year 12 English teacher, her husband, and you know.
Yeah.
And just all happened. So, and I've never had like a business card or been. The only gig I can remember chasing was the Steve Edmonds blues gig.
Right.
Yeah, they were doing like 6 nights a week, and I'd been playing with Doug for a while, and I thought, I wouldn't mind doing something else, and then I ended up moving in with Steve and playing with the group. So,
okay.
That was probably 2001 or 2 or something. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but that's the only gig I can remember chasing. Anything else, you know, people would say call me and I never call them, or that they call and I never call back, and I was really a bit blasé about the whole thing. And one thing I really regret doing as well was one night I was packing up at the basement. I was about 18, and this guy came up the stage and we started chatting, and Simon Barker, who's one of the greatest jazz drummers in the country, you know, and he's like, mate, here's my number, because there was no mobile phones in them days.
Yep.
It was all, you know, wrote it down on a piece of paper and
that's it.
Gave it over, and you know, and landline, you know. And
you went home and you dialed.
Yeah, well, I didn't.
You dialed the number.
You did dial the number, but
you should have dialed the number.
I should have dialed the number, you know.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, let's hang out, and I just never engaged with so much stuff, you know. So, coming back to the original, never chased it really. I was chasing being a good drummer. I wasn't chasing gigs.
Right.
Not really. I mean, when you're in your 20s, you're up for being busy and being around, you know.
Yep.
And whatever's around, but I don't actually remember pursuing gigs. In fact, it would probably be the opposite.
Yep.
I was happy to get them,
yep.
but I don't remember going out and advertise. I don't think I ever advertised or did anything like that.
Yep.
And then, as I said, people would call and I wouldn't call them back. So it was pretty stupid, really. From, you know, but yeah. So, but like I said, I wasn't gunning for it from day one anyway as a career, you know.
Yep.
Which leads into where we're going, because I then stopped playing.
Yep.
You know, got involved with the partner, and you know, but that wasn't the main reason. That I had started studying building design.
Yep.
At the old Tech College at Ultimo,
mm-hmm.
So the TAFE there, and that was part time. That was in 2009, I think, and then so I was getting to the point where if I'd have kept drumming and kept trying to study this new area, which is what I wanted to do when I was in high school.
Yep.
That was the dream, right? That was the dream.
Yep.
Then I was going to cock both of them up.
Yep.
So it came to the point where, and then the relationship came along, and then just stuck. Okay, we'll put the drums in the storage unit, and didn't touch them for about, I don't know, 2 and a bit years. Yeah, so didn't pick up a drumstick. So,
yep.
And I tell you what, mate, I don't know if you've had this feeling before, but when you've been playing like a lot, and you're in your 20s, you know, and you're keen, you can, I suppose, keen for it to some degree. and you have Saturday nights off all of a sudden, you're sitting on the couch like we are now, it feels weird. Like to sit at home, you go, shouldn't I be somewhere? Or is someone about to call saying, you know, where are you?
Yep.
We're setting up, or which actually did happen once or twice, but double booked once or twice. But, yeah.
For me, it was more. I don't think I really had that feeling because the times that when I was in bands and I left the bands or something happened with those bands, it was probably time for a break.
Yeah, well, you know.
You know, for me, you know, I went from playing all the time to, you know, seeing my friends start going to clubs and stuff, and
yeah,
I wanted to be part of that.
You're young, you just wanted,
so
I think.
So I did, and you know, I never stopped playing. Came and sat on the couch. I stopped playing and then went clubbing.
Yes.
Did that for 5 years.
Don't worry, mate. I've done my first year of that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
then the other part was, you know, of course, when I got married, I was playing, and then wanted to be home with my wife, and then started playing again, and then my first daughter was born, and
that's a huge change.
I would rather be home, trying to help my, you know, be with my wife and my daughter, than being way up Newcastle way, having to drive all the way home at 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
So that was
trying not to kill yourself.
That's it.
So, in fact, I remember that Newcastle came into my head as I was coming up here because the Cumberland Highway used to turn left at the motorway and go up.
Yeah.
Get that, So, brought back a few memories. Go up, is it Penn Hills Road?
Penn Hills Road, yeah.
That was the way up. But, so I found that a bit odd and liked it, you know.
Yeah.
I thought, I could do it just staying at home, you know.
Sure.
So that's the way I went. So then I stuck my teeth into studying.
Yep.
The architectural stuff, which is what I wanted to do initially. So that was like 28, 29. So, you know, every decade or so, something usually or I've found that every decade there's been some sort of change in the breeze, you know.
Yep.
And so I've been doing that ever since. But so when I stopped, I got back into it after a couple of years and just started doing a gig here and there.
Yep.
And this year, it's probably been one of the most enjoyable years I've had.
Yep.
And fulfilling. And I've done, I counted them, you know, that I've done 6 gigs this year. And
really?
This is November. We're in mid-November.
Yeah.
So and they've been shows with players that are great friends and great players, and they've been shows not like pub gigs or anything. They've been
awesome.
So and the odd party, so sort of private thing. So and it feels like this is how I wanted it to be when I was 14.
Yeah.
That was the same headspace.
Gotcha.
Just doing a couple. Want to be playing as best as possible, but just doing a couple of gigs and it's taken 20 years to
find it.
Yeah, or more, 25 years maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but having said that, man, there's a hell of a good time.
I was going to say, yeah.
Man, in the cross.
It's a whole life there, man.
The whole cross, mate. I remember one of the funniest times in the cross. I was 18 and we'd played at this place called Round Midnight, which was on the corner of Roslyn Street, and a little laneway just off the main drag there in the cross, just off Darlinghurst Road, and the Golden Mile, as I think they call it. Yeah.
Yep.
Not anymore, I don't think.
Not anymore.
Yeah,
No.
Looks like a ghost town from us.
No.
Yeah, you can park on the main street there on a Saturday night. You know,
yeah.
I did a few gigs at the beat bar there about a year ago.
Yeah.
And Saturday night, park out the front.
Sweet.
It's like is this a school night or
Yeah.
it's like it's 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, there's no one there.
It's a whole nother conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. But anyway, it's I have a different theory. I know these unfortunate events with people being killed and seriously hurt. They're absolutely tragic, and it's had an effect on the way it's operated. But the cross was starting to die off anyway, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is my litmus test for it. The day that Barron's closed, I thought to myself, right, this is the beginning of the end, you know.
Okay.
And the Barron's was a little club opposite Round Midnight, what I was just talking about, which I haven't finished yet, but anyway, it was just across the road from that, and they knocked it down. I think they knocked it down to put a new big sort of Spanish-looking looking building, white building up there. There's like a V fork in the road there, and that's near where Barron's was, and it was the most intimate, funky, dirty, homely kind of place you could ever go to.
Yep.
And it was like no one would look at you sideways. You could be like wearing, a bloke could walk in there with a pink tutu on and shaved head and and wearing nothing else, and no one would look sideways. You wouldn't be judged or anything. And it felt like you're in someone's house because it was an actual house. Like it was like a flat sort of thing, and couches, tiny bar. Bar was probably 2 meters long or something, maybe less, and yeah, great times in there. And when that place shut, I came out of there like really late a few times, and I had some great memories in here. But I thought to myself when that place went, I thought, okay, things are something's changing here. So
Yeah, right.
so that was happening anyway.
Yep.
I think anyway. But
Yep.
and because seeing what it was like. Well, I mean, it would have been nice to have seen what it was like in the 70s and 80s. With all these Texas Tavern and All Nations Club and all these other places. 15, 20 clubs, or Whiskey A Go-Go,
Yep.
15, 20 clubs with the best players in town playing there 7
Right.
nights a week would have been great fun,
Special.
So, but but I remember, first time I ever saw the sunrise without going to bed was, it was about 18, playing around midnight with Doug there, and the gig was supposed to kick off at 12, that's why it's called around midnight, and go to about 3. Well, Doug turned up at 2:30, more than once, I think, yeah. Well, I think 2:30 was the latest he ever turned up, and we'd get going by about 3, finished about 6, and that was a great little place, yeah. And I remember coming out of the club like this real sort of, youngster, teenager type thing. Walked out of the club and the sun had risen, and I freaked out. I thought,
Yeah.
I haven't been to bed yet.
Yeah.
And what was funny, because there's a little laneway next to that club off the Roslyn Street, and there was such good memories. It was so seedy, but someone found a milk crate or two, and there was a busted pallet, and someone found a ball, and we set up and started playing cricket at 2 a.m.
Brilliant.
outside the club.
That's awesome.
Because it was a long, thin laneway, it's perfect, like a great pitch, and so we were playing. Oh, mate, it was so funny, and so timber pallet as a bat, and milk crates and ball, and so and it was just cool. But so started playing again, and getting back to so that
Living
was
the dream. So I want to talk about your technique a little bit. Now you play
like thereof.
No, you play traditional grip. Did that start way back with your first
No. I actually started. I naturally was an open-handed player, like left hand on the height, because I'm left-handed.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah. And I started doing it. That's as I naturally wanted to do it. As I started getting the Frank Coniola book with my first drum teacher, I just naturally went left hand on the hi-hat. I don't know why, just it's instinctive.
Yep.
And drum teacher said, Mick said, you'll have to make a decision pretty soon whether you want to do right hand on the hi-hat lead or left hand. And I chose the right hand. But I was playing match grip.
Okay.
It was all matched. And then a couple of years into playing, I must have been, a couple of years into it, I started dropping the stick with the left hand all the time. I mean, I still drop plenty of sticks, but the left hand was just really, really pissing me off, I thought, what's going on here? And at that time, I bought a Virgil Donati instructional video called Power Drumming. Mm-hmm. And see, there was not much internet in those days.
No.
So you couldn't log on and just find out how people were doing it, So you had the odd photo in a drum magazine.
Yep.
Or
you had to read the explanation in an interview.
And I didn't believe. I actually thought it was impossible to play like these guys like Vinny and Virgil and that with that grip. I didn't believe it until I saw that video.
Right.
I actually thought it was impossible. I thought there's no way you could ever do that.
Yep.
And I saw photos, and I thought, gee, I wonder what they must switch over, But when I saw someone doing it, which the first time was on that Virgil video, and they had a whole bunch of exercises on it. I thought, well, I'm dropping the stick with my left hand, I'm not happy. Why don't I just give the traditional a go? So I just looked at it and tried to emulate it, and that's all I did. So I just followed the exercises, and I tell you what though, having not played a lot, see, I've only done a few gigs this year, and on last few years, not many, and every 3 months will go by without playing, and you can't just jump back on and expect things to work. So, well, they weren't working at the best of times, but after 4 months, you've got to do like half an hour a day for a week before the gig or something to try and get back into it, And traditional grip seems to really fall off. Like the left hand's much harder to get back going than the right.
Right. Okay.
I think there's a lot of maintenance involved with that grip.
Right.
And so I've started to try a few minutes here and there with the left hand unmatched.
Right.
And I was playing percussion in clubs a lot in my 20s. So that was cowbells and timbales and that. So you had to play matched anyway.
Yep.
And sometimes it just feels better to... I've not done much rock stuff, but the backbeats, obviously a lot easier with the match grip. But
so you think you might change to match
I've
grip?
done a little bit of. It depends what you're doing, I think. But there's definitely not enough facility there to be able to just... You can do basic stuff, but with the left hand. But when you get... I've found when you get the left hand traditional tuned up nicely, like you've spent a bit of time on it, it feels better.
Right.
Somehow it feels better, and it feels like the way you want to do it, or the way I'd like to do it. So, not a lot of playing going on. So,
we were talking earlier about the grip, and Dave Goodman. Played traditional grip for years and years.
Yeah,
started having some problems with his finger and his hand.
Okay. Yeah.
And so out of necessity, he's trained himself up to.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
To play match grip.
I think
so he plays match grip now.
for quite a while. I think now, isn't he? Or
it's only a couple of years, or
really?
maybe even 12 months.
Oh shit! Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Pete Drummond had a bit of a skateboarding accident.
Oh right.
Yeah. And that changed his technique apparently quite a lot. He's a mountain boy.
Okay.
I'm from the very low mountains, but he's way up, upper mountains. And,
right.
What a monster he is. Yeah. So, I left a bit out. I did a music course after school at University of Western Sydney, and I was taught there by another percussionist called Lee Giles, and he's great. And more art music, sort of percussion ensemble stuff, which I never really got into, because when you're that age, you just wanted to do, grooves and stuff with toms, all that stuff. Yeah. And so I did that course, and there was I can't remember what the point was now.
Pete Drummond?
Oh, there was a guy there, an older bloke, who was in the course, and he said that he was the guy that told Pete to chill out a bit from practicing. He's from the mountains as well, this guy. And he said, I told him to go grab a skateboard or something and chill out. And then he had a skateboard accident and buggered his hand up. So, and then apparently Pete, I haven't spoken to him about it, but he's had to change his way that he holds his sticks. He's matched, obviously, but very, very relaxed
more
look.
Calmed down now? Or
I don't know, not too, but very relaxed looking grip. I think you had to kind of maybe let the angle of the stick changed. I think it goes right across this way, not straight out. So.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah. So these things happen, eh?
Yep.
So you've got to kind of adjust, I suppose. But but I never really got taught that technique proper. I've seen videos and stuff. There's a lot out there you can watch. But I think if anything, the thumb in that grip is important.
Yeah.
You should be able to play a lot with the thumb and no other fingers. The thumb and that joint in there.
Yeah.
And never been interested in, or never been very successful at finger strokes and all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty lock grip, palm down most of the time on the right hand anyway.
So yeah,
and like to be that way.
Rebound player pretty much.
Well, just like, I think that, and what Mark was like that a bit too. I think is nothing fancy, just very solid sort of block grip you get taught early on and that kind of stuff. So not obviously wanting to be tight.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, but definitely more probably what you'd teach a student probably.
Yep.
You just palm down.
Yep.
Keep everything tucked in and keep the stick straight down. And obviously when you're playing with feel, like the hand might flip upside down, you know, when you're playing a shuffle or something.
Yeah.
Like, you know, not always, but
yep.
Yeah.
I found with me, you know, I was talking, you asking me, we're talking about fitness and gym and stuff. Because I used to always play, if I went to play my ride, I'd take my hand over and, you know, keep my palm down all the way across to the right.
Yeah.
But I was starting to feel some tension in my shoulder.
Pinching a nerve.
Yeah. So then that's when I.
Oh yeah, okay.
Would just.
Yeah.
Almost so the palm of my hand's facing up to play the ride to take the pressure off my shoulder.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. But that's, you know, it's just.
Yeah.
From getting old.
Well, mate, these things, mate, I tell you what, I don't miss the lugs.
Yeah, no.
And I think it's about time, even though I don't play much, it's about time to get some single braced hardware again.
Man.
Mate, that trap case is feeling. Having said that,
I blame you.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, buy it all, buy everything.
No,
yeah.
you should get this new double brace,
Check this out,
quadruple brace pearl hardware with these.
Multi-uni lock joint.
You got to buy the 4 multi-uni.
Pivot style, you know, infinite adjustable. Yeah, like, you know, this is, But, well, I used to, actually, talking about gear, I haven't had a manufactured built drum set for about, we used one, last one I sold probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And I didn't use it much. It was a Pearl Masters, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and I love Birch drums.
Birch, yeah.
My favourite drum set probably of all time is like a late 80s, early 90s Yamaha 9000.
Okay.
The bearing edges are a little more rounded, I think, on those ones. And for some reason, I'm stuck in the 80s with that stuff. I really like the dead thud, you know, growl. The growl, you know.
Gotcha.
Yep. In fact, talking about Warren Daly, he used to get drum heads from Hydes occasionally, and he'd get Diplomat top and bottom.
Right.
If you ever listen to one of his recordings of the Daly Wilson Big Band, mate, the toms, they sound like they're screaming in pain. You know, like they're just, like this roar comes. Yeah. Even if you tighten them up, it still doesn't, there's still a lot of...
When you said Diplomats, I can hear it now.
And they wouldn't last very long with him either. He hits really hard, you know.
Yeah.
So, and I said, why all the top and bottom ribs? And he goes, I like the growl, Johnny. I like the growl, So. Kobe Cannon said that too.
Yeah.
I like the growl.
I like the growl.
I heard him say that once, So.
Yep.
I bought some about 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. I bought some acrylic drum shells you get from like the Vista lights.
Yep.
And I had some old Pearl Export hardware, you know, and bought some other bits.
Yeah, I've seen that kit.
Yeah, it's like an 80s looking, you know.
Yeah.
And I actually like the look of those the architectural looking nose. It's like on the session. That you got. Yeah. I like them. And that's so it's actually export hardware on a set of, and I just drilled it all the holes. Not very difficult. And bought good. I think you should have good hoops.
Yep.
Pearl super hoop.
Yep.
Not the old school 80s one. They're too big, but a good solid hoop that's flexible.
Are they die-cast hoops?
No, not in a die-cast. Too constricting. No, not even on the snare. No, I think they pop better when they got. See, when they if you get a thin triple flange tube, it's not good because they stretch and they don't turn the head properly. They don't hold it tension properly.
Yep.
And they go out lumpy, like they go wavy.
Yeah, they bow out.
Bow out. That's right.
Yep.
If you get a good, strong triple flange tube. That's the way I reckon, And some snares might sound, or some drums might sound good with die-cast hoops, but
my drums sound great with die-cast hoops.
Did you get die? Oh, okay,
my masters have got die-cast hoops.
Right, okay, yeah.
I've got a 5.5-inch brass Sensitone Pearl snare drum.
Yep.
With a die-cast hoop on it.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
By far my favourite.
Right.
snare
Okay. Yeah. Crack.
just-
Yeah.
oh, man.
And tone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've got a Jarrah Brady snare, and
Yeah.
I had this other old Pearl snare drum which I ended up selling, but it had a die-cast top hoop on it. And
Right,
I put
yep.
it on the Brady.
Yeah.
It just tamed it a little bit because the Brady
Yeah, okay.
just had this tone I
Overtone.
didn't like. Yeah.
Yeah. Really. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's interesting how, I mean, it's working at the drum shop for a little bit.
Yep.
It's tried so many head combinations and
Sure.
and hoop combinations and shell combinations and that sort of thing, and so you got to see how things would sit. But I'll tell you what's really important. Doesn't matter whether you got a $15,000 drum set of any brand or whatever. You've got to timbre match your heads. You got to, when they come out of the rack or out of the box or whatever. I think you should get a match set, because you got to tap them all.
Yep.
And you got to know whether you like the dead ones or the bright ones or the
Gotcha.
or the ones in the middle.
Yep.
I like when you hit a drum head, you generally get a click and a bit of tone. Like
Yep.
you got to hold it properly too.
Yep.
If you don't, you got to hold it properly and then tap it properly. You don't
I know.
press into it. You got to release straight away.
Yep.
And the drum, the head will make it like it sounds like a lot. Should have a nice long note to it.
Yep.
And so if you don't match those heads, if you get a dead 16 and a bright 12 and a medium sort of tone, a timbre on the 10 or on a small tom or whatever,
Yep.
it doesn't matter whether you've got an amazing expensive drum set, your drums will not sound together.
Gotcha.
But you might not want them to sound together.
Yep.
But you got to know why. You know. I think,
Yep.
If you want the different, you often see Steve Smith with different drum coated clear, thicker,
Yep.
thinner,
Yep.
So if you're going for that, that's obviously something different. But if you're trying to match them all, we used to see people just take stuff out of the rack and not try it, and then they'd come back and go, "Oh man, my drums have had it. I mean, my drums are, this brand's not so good because they're not together, and they're no good. I want to buy a new set of drums." And I'm like, well, I used to hear them and say, "Mate, the heads aren't matched. You match the heads.
Yep.
You wouldn't have to spend $5,000. So I wouldn't, I was pretty ruthless with equipment. I actually thought, because I used to do a lot of the drum repairs.
You did, yeah.
Because I used to see all things mechanical when I was a kid. When
Yeah.
I was a kid, I was working as an assistant in an aviation military museum for 6 years.
Right.
When I started year 7, the same week I started high school, I started at volunteering every weekend for about 50 weeks a year. And then on school holidays, I'd get going as well on vintage and World War II aeroplanes.
Shit,
And
right.
they had jets, they had early jets as well,
yeah.
because the jets were coming in the end of World War II.
Yep.
So it'd be around early jets, and they'll be massive piston engine, big V12s and 37 litre V12s and 50 litre radial engines, and 2,500 horsepower type jobs, and so I was up to my elbows in grease.
Yep.
So I learned a bit about, and from my father as well, because he's mechanically minded, and through this, even on the old aeroplanes, there's a very high level of quality.
Yeah.
Especially because they're all being shot at and blown up, so they need to be strong,
Yeah.
In Rolls Royce, all
Yeah.
the names, like high quality stuff, Rolls Royce engines and that. But yeah, so you got a feel for what good quality was. So when I used to look at some of this drum equipment and I had to repair it, I was very critical of a lot of it, and I won't mention any names, but any brands, but there was one very particular common brand that everyone usually loves, and I found a big, with their bass drum pedals, I was just flabbergasted. But broken foot plates, broken chains, broken cams.
Drum workshop?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got
hinges.
Yeah, the hinges,
break, or they'd seize.
Yeah.
I was like,
Or
man,
they
this
just
is
start-
more
they start
expensive.
to-
And they wear, because there's no guide up the front.
Yeah.
The old Tama Camco, the old Camco job, then the sprockets didn't have a guide, so when the hinge would wear, then the sprocket would wear, and it would all go pear-shaped from them, because then they would both start wearing at the same time.
And if you
then it would
took
wobble.
if you took your foot too far off the pedal and slammed it back down, the chain would pop off.
All that stuff.
That's what I found on my 5000 accelerator pedal.
Yeah.
And then the hinge went.
Yeah.
So I ended up finding.
And then
they actually came out with a ball bearing.
Yeah, but the ball bearings would explode.
Oh, right.
No, I'm not joking, mate. And these hinges were $100, $99 each.
Yeah.
I don't know about they are in America, but and they were generally unavailable.
Yeah.
For someone that spent $800 on a single pedal,
Yeah.
or $800 on a single pedal. The doubles were like 13, you know.
Yeah.
And not too old, and they'd break, and they'd be sitting on the shelf waiting for a part for 3 or 4 months or 6 months.
Is that right?
I was like, this isn't right, you know. But having said that, I think they're some of the finest. The way they got their mount system and their shells and everything, and I think they're some of the finest drums going around.
Okay.
Actually, DW, at the moment, from what I've seen. But you know, really good drums.
Yeah.
But that some of that hardware, I was just shaking my head going, bloody hell.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think it was overpriced in Australia. I don't think it's that expensive in the US, the DW stuff, but
Don't know.
it was very expensive out here. And you had to wait a long time for parts, and I used to feel for these people. So the pedal I thought was the best and the easiest and feels great, and I still think so, is the Pearl Eliminator.
Got one.
Yeah.
I agree, 100%.
And you get trouble with them occasionally, but they had parts and they generally didn't muck around too much.
But they're cheap.
Or that
and
too,
if it breaks, you just got to buy another one. And they're just solid, man. They feel good.
You can fix them.
Yep.
You can do things to them. Like I've had the hinge. It's not a hinge. It's where the pivot is on the heel.
Yep.
If those screws cock up,
yep.
you can make stuff to make. You can retap, put recoils, and you can make them work again.
Yeah.
A bit of mucking around, not too much, and you can get going.
Yep.
But with some of the other stuff, you need to buy the parts.
Yeah.
And I found, Sonor was... I never got a return phone call in 10 years from Sonor.
Yeah, right.
About a spare part for a customer.
Right.
No, never, not once did I get a return call. So, which is a shame because they're great drums. You know, but what I found was with some of this stuff, with the metalwork in particular, you'd end up, especially because if you had half an idea about what was going on, you can make it better than what it was when it came out of the factory.
Yep.
Because some of the stuff with joints and connections and crappy metals, you'd have to recoil things and put stainless steel recoils in and that sort of stuff. Or the biggest problem I think I oversaw was parts that were under a lot of tension. There was a tiny wing screw or tiny grub screw with two threads holding two things together, and nothing. I'm like, what were they thinking? You know.
Yep.
And I've got to say, I think Pearl was probably, and Yamaha, they were probably the two best. I said I wouldn't mention brands, but
it's all right.
I'm actually saying these guys are probably the best two. Pearl and Yamaha, I think, were the best two that I found. Well, I won't say that they're the best.
I was complaining about the weight of my hardware before, but man, it's still solid as it was.
I've had Pearl. I've still got Pearl. I like the old cymbal tilters from the 80s, not the 90s.
Oh, right.
The Unilock tilters. I'm still using the 90s ones. I don't like the newer ones. Yeah. So, and those Unilocks, you do get problems occasionally. You know, they do break.
What I found the Unilocks, especially my session kit, the two countersink screws inside they come loose every now and then.
Yeah.
Even if you Loctited them in.
Yep.
Just the.
Yep, you've got to be careful, and you can break the ring.
Inside
it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I used to find they come loose. But even now, I think with some of those old tom holders that I've got, the really old Unilock ones, even with those screws done up, they're still playing them now.
Yeah, right.
But, I mean,
yeah. Oh, but that's all right. It's not going to sink many.
No,
it'll go up, but it's not. As long as you get it to sit at the right height.
that's right. Yeah.
As long as it doesn't go down anymore.
Go down. Yeah.
But I won't say, in fact, I don't want to rate a brand here anymore. All I'll say is out of 10 years of working in that repair shop, on and off, well, actually part-time, but over about 10 years, I found the two brands that had the least drama were Yamaha and Pearl.
Yep.
With parts on hardware.
Okay.
I'm not talking about drums so much, but just the hardware.
Yep.
They were by far, I'll say I had the least... they were the easiest to deal with and had the least amount of issues.
Yep.
That I found.
I think.
And a lot of stuff came through there, mate.
From what I see now, Pearl. I mean, they may have changed a bit now, but from the Masters series, then they went to Reference Pure.
Yep.
I thought they changed the whole lug system. So the lug looked
They
like
started breaking, actually.
Yeah, well,
that was on the snare drums.
Instead of just having the lug that bolted to the shell, with the spring and the lug coming up.
Yeah.
They made it so it was two piece, so that the part that came up had a split pin through the guts of it, and that part pivoted.
Yeah, so it was flexible.
When you tuned it, it would.
Yeah.
It's just too many moving parts.
Yeah. It's meant to be flexible, but
they flog out. And they break and they snap.
I think they redesigned it in the end.
Yeah, they've redesigned now. They've started. They've gone to the whole tube lug thing.
That's a great look too.
Yeah, it
looks really good,
Yeah.
But I like the old 80s sonor lugs looks and the architectural looking sharp corners and edges.
Yeah. Even with the old Tama.
Art Star.
That star.
We had an Art Star when I was studying after school, I love that. Was a great drum set, Mate, to be honest, I don't think a drum manufacturer, this is maybe a real Neanderthal, but I don't think a drum manufacturer, it's the NAMM show that does it, and there's Frankfurt Music. They have to come up with new stuff every year.
Yep.
I don't think you've needed a new drum set since about the last 15 years.
No.
It's just reinventing, and some of the best ones, like I said, if I went to go out and get one, I've been working with the last 10 years, the homemade one with Ludwig plastic drums. I love them.
Yeah.
Acrylic shells. I thought they were rubbish, and I never tried them for years.
Yep.
Because I had a prejudice against them until I tried them. I didn't realise how good they were.
Yep.
They've got to be tuned well though.
Yep.
But if I was to go and get a drum set, I'd reckon an early 90s, late 80s Yamaha.
Yep.
Probably with not the S mounts, or an old Pearl MLX.
Yep.
A made in Japan one.
Right.
Made in Japan one. Yeah.
Right.
Or BLX.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's some seriously good drums.
Yep.
And I don't know. I don't know how you need to go beyond that. And in fact, I've had quite a bit to do with vintage drums with the Ludwigs. I've had quite a few vintage Ludwigs, and people still prefer them over some new ones anyway. Probably because they're going for a certain sound rather than anything else. But some of the hardware on some of those, like the tension casings are really good. After 50, 60 years. Still working really well on those Ludwigs. So, the acrylic clear, or the plastic acrylic drums, acrylic sheet drums. I was aghast because I'd written them off. They're in the drum shop. I wouldn't even hit one with a drumstick. That's how much I get. Right. This is how stupid I am, because I didn't give it a go. You know. Anyway, one day we had a big bottom kit in there, and I looked at it and didn't even bother hitting it once. I don't think. Don't remember even hitting it, because I remember thinking every time I walked past it, I was like, why would you even bother? Walking past it 30, 40 times a day, in the shop. And so finally the day came. I had to go to rehearsal, and I just had a day off, and I was in the shop, and my mate Damo, who runs he had his Ludwig 12, 16, 22 Vista Light in the back, and I was needing a drum set for a rehearsal at Sound Level. You remember Sound Level?
No.
Oh, down in that was the Yamaha drums outlet.
Oh right.
That's where all the Yamahas were.
Oh right. Okay.
In the 80s and 90s, the 90s and early 2000s. And I still remember the first day I went in there. Yeah. My mate and I, on school holidays, we trekked into Central Station and walked all around Ultimo until we found it.
Yeah.
And finally got in. Yeah, Lower Fig Street. And but that was. Yeah, they had all the yummies in there, and anyway, so the rooms in the rehearsal rooms in that studio were not great. Rehearsal rooms usually aren't, but in this place they weren't. And room 6 was probably the worst.
Right.
It was right near where the bathrooms were, right at the back. And so I took this drum set, this Vista Light, in that room, and it sounded great. And I thought, well, if it sounds good in here, I'll try it at the gig. Yep. So I borrowed that drum set off Damo. I didn't use a timber drum set after that. For about, I'll tell you, every weekend for about 3 months.
Right.
I'd take Jamo's drum set for the weekend and bring it back on Tuesday or Wednesday whenever I was back in there. And I'd keep buying it on weekends until I bought a set of shells and put it together. I've been using that ever since. Yeah. That was in 2007, something like that. So. I haven't been playing for a lot, and in a couple of years I wasn't playing at all. But
But still,
yeah. So But those drums, those clearbrick, they're tuned well. Not snares. I love timber snares. Got the Vinnie Paul 14x8 snare.
Oh,
I've only got 2 snare drums.
Yeah,
I've
right.
only had 2 snare drums for about 10, 15 years. You
Right.
know? But I feel embarrassed to say that. Most people got like 20 snares. But
Yeah.
anyway, so there's been, that maple snare covered in plastic mirror styrene sheet to quieten it down.
Yeah.
It's so loud.
Yep.
And because it's got a lot of bottom end and tone, but when you tune it up high, you get the crack, get the top end, so it's best of both worlds. But the acrylic drums, I've not found this in any timber drum, and it probably exists, but with the acrylic, it's got more bottom end than timber can dream of. If you tap an acrylic shell with no hardware on it, put it on your finger and tap a timber shell, you can almost see the shell wobbling. The acrylic plastic, you tap it, particularly the bass drums.
Right.
Huge bottom end, and we're all looking for bottom end drums.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the attack and tone. When you hit a lot of drums and you hit them harder, you get more attack and the tone disappears.
Yep.
Which is an argument for actually not hitting drums too hard because you get more tone out of them that way. But with these drums, I found that particularly the floor toms, bigger ones, you hit them harder and harder, and the tone would increase with the attack and the timbre. The click would like it was proportional.
Yeah.
And I thought, I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't remember the last time I've heard that. I don't think I've ever heard that on a timber drum before.
Right.
Attack and tone increasing together, and bottom end all coming up. So it's a dead set winner. I mean, it's not the sound for everyone. It's not jazzy. It's not, it's not going to probably work for South American music or whatever. But
Yeah, it works for you.
Oh, it's a good all rounder, I think. So yeah, but and it's interesting. I think when you get older or you've been playing for a while, you just use the same stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Like I've just been using bass snare. It's been the same thing for the last probably since that drum set turned up, 2007 odd.
Yep.
Bass snare, floor tom, rack tom, maybe or no toms. If first tom you put in would be the floor tom, I think, the bottom end, and a couple of cymbals, but hi-hat, crash, ride, whatever, maybe the occasional effect. So it's been the most it's ever been really has been 4 cymbals and 4 drums, maybe an auxiliary snare, maybe, yeah. So actually for those club gigs you do play along with a lot of electro music. So you take maybe no toms and you take 2 snares and a cowbell and diddle off. Keep your PCB going and diddle off, just to get some variety, onto voicings and that. But so it's. Do you like paradiddle? I don't like paradiddle grooves. I don't. You know that paradiddle and you put a bass drum and a snare under it. I can't handle the sound. It's like I can't. I mean, there's a famous Bowie tune that Dennis Davis did, with that groove sped up.
The double's cool because it kind of gives you that sort of a 6. You can
the
almost,
double paradiddle. Yeah.
The double's cool, but I don't. No, I've never been one to play them. I might drop them into a fill but.
Like I really love Darren Ferrugia's layered patterns.
Okay. Yep.
I think they're so eloquent and so tasty and not necessarily busy, but they're just nice layered patterns.
Yep.
And linear playing's, obviously an amazing thing in itself, but I've never warmed to a paradiddle groove.
Yeah.
It's either been 16ths with one hand, or 2 if you have to, and layered patterns not diddle combinations when you get to a turnaround, but not diddle grooves. Not diddle grooves at all. No, I don't think so. But mind you,
diddle groover.
I mean, Gad is like the bloody godfather of all. I mean, I love listening to it,
There's
but
only
I don't.
one Gad though.
Oh fuck, mate! No. Mate, I think the best gig I've ever seen was earlier this year. It was Gad with that trio from these 2. I think they were Danish guys or.
European you went
guys.
to that? Yeah. Okay. Yep. I saw that. Saw that episode.
That was fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, not was it last Christmas, the Christmas before, when I saw Gadd with the Steve Gadd band.
Yeah. Well, listen to his paradiddle grooves all day, but
Oh yeah.
something special going on there. But the basics of the diddle grooves, I'm not really that a fan of, you know.
Yeah.
Hearing someone like him do it, it's just like fucking. It's like angels pissing in your ears. Yeah. So, I was floored by that gig. Even when Gadd started playing the first tune by himself, and I couldn't figure out. Like we all know straight and shuffle and the sort of in between feels, you know. I couldn't figure out. It was so unbelievably amazing what he's playing. Yep. It's like a straight eights thing, very subtle, very soft, beautiful, and I couldn't. It was so amazing. I couldn't figure out whether he was swinging it or if it was just straight.
Yeah, he's probably doing a bit of both.
It was like magic. Like I don't know.
Yep.
Because it was nice and lazy, and it was just yeah. And I know Gordon Rentmaster was at that gig and told the same thing. I was actually going to ring him up. I still want to ring him up and ask him if he.
Yeah.
But his take is on it.
Yeah.
What was your vibe on that intro? You know, I'm sure you'd remember.
Yeah. So going
like
back to talking about how Dave Goodman went from traditional to matched. Did you notice Gadd played matched?
Yeah, well, if you go back to a lot of the old stuff, you know,
Yeah.
There's a lot of match. And actually, if you look at 80s Vinnie Colaiuta, there's a lot of matched.
A lot of the Zappa stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
He was playing all that percussion and those extra drums and rototons and stuff.
All that octobands or whatever.
He couldn't hit them with the.
Yeah.
So he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
it was match group.
Yeah, but in fact, it's interesting when you watch those guys and how they've developed into such amazing players. It's interesting to see the skeleton behind their playing.
Yeah.
To me, the skeleton is in the 80s, in the 70s.
Yep.
And the stuff that I wasn't interested in as much at first, but I'm more interested in that now than I am interested in listening to them play in the 90s or later.
Yep.
Because it's probably the association. You can hear the skeletons of a lot of their ideas coming through.
Yep.
Phrasings.
Yep.
Voicings and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
In the 80s.
Yep.
You know, it may not sound as fancy as some of the stuff they're coming up with later, like the blasting just sort of.
Yep.
You know, just like the level that some of those top guys took it to, or have taken it to, or are taking it to. The skeleton for some of that I hear is in a lot of the 80s playing, which is a little less intricate. It is intricate, incredible, all of it, but there's a lot more flavours added to the skeleton from the 80s. When you hear them playing the 80s, like you can hear them how they've added to it in later decades, you know.
Yeah.
So, and particularly watching Vinny on the Zildjian Day '84. Man, you know.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, I'm speechless, you know.
Yeah. Special player, man.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But actually, have you seen that someone's got a Jeff Beccaro playlist on Spotify? Have you seen?
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's got 1,000 songs on it.
It's great. Yeah. Sorry, not Spotify. I got the Apple Music one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a couple of Gadd songs. I've heard a couple of Gadd, because this is the thing I was talking about. Omar Harkham and Jeff Beccaro being big influences.
Yep.
They ended up, I think, a lot on the same similar albums and with the similar artists.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like you heard Omar Harkham on Dire Straits and Omar Harkham, Jeff Beccaro on Dire Straits.
Yeah.
They both played Madonna, and then you hear Jeff Beccaro and Gadd on a lot, like Al Jarreau.
Yeah.
And all those kind of people. So, so those guys seem to pair up a bit.
Yeah, it's funny.
Not surprisingly. Obviously they're the three biggest motherfuckers out there, but
still very contrasting players, you know. They just sort of work together well.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But you know, it's.
I think we'll leave it on those big guns. I think.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, for sure. No. They are.
It's pretty special. We can't top them, you know.
Well, that's right. Leave it there. Exactly. Yeah.
We can try. Otherwise, I think we come back and do another. Maybe we should. How about we do this down the line? we'll do a podcast on Picaro, Vinny, Steve Gadd.
Oh, why not? Yeah.
All right, so go do some research.
Yeah, well, I'll have to. Fuck, I'll have to start playing again, probably.
Yeah. No, let's do it. Let's do it.
Well, I'll tell you what. Have you thought about, just putting it out there,
Yeah.
getting a couple of people to have a chat, around table chat?
I was chatting with Steve Marin about this.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Getting these ideas coming together.
Yeah.
Or these thoughts,
But I have to get my shit together and ask proper questions.
Yeah. Mate, you're. It's been great fun.
Yeah.
You chatting here and your topics and all that. It's it made me talk a lot.
It's good.
So
Means I don't have to. People don't want to hear me talking.
no, mate, no. Like I say, like we started. Still remember the blown away. I was watching you play for the first time, man. It was
cool, man.
Like I still remember the song, the drum set, the venue.
Yeah.
The part of the song you were playing.
Yeah.
And thinking, man, I better latch onto that,
Tristan Bowden played Footloose. He played on that track.
Oh, okay.
You know, the Chicago guy who played.
No, right. Oh, right. Tristan Bowden. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. He played Footloose.
Okay, yeah, right.
He played with Kenny Loggins for years.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Actually, have you heard 70s Kenny Loggins? Like pre-Caddyshack? Like,
No.
Kenny Loggins did like Top Gun and the Caddyshack theme.
Yeah.
Like, mate, it's like, it's like listening to, you have no idea how different it is.
Yeah, right, okay.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that 80s rock stuff.
Yeah.
You could be pleasantly blown away if you check it out.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, so.
I think on Kenny Loggins then.
Yeah, right. Why not?
Jonnie
Why
Adams.
not Kenny Loggins?
Jonnie Adams, thanks so much,
mate.
my
Thanks
man.
for having us. No,
Cheers,
good,
bro.
good.
Look
Cheers,
forward
mate.
to the next one.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Cheers, brother.